Welcome to 2022 and welcome to our update from the State of the Nation. My name is Michael Sham and we're having another look at the South African political and economic scene. So let's jump straight in. There's no shortage of interest in South Africa. Stuff just happens, Christmas, New Year or not. We began the year by burning down Parliament. And to me, nothing shows a government less capable than a bunch of people that cannot keep Parliament safe despite the building being empty. You can imagine it must be quite a difficult job to keep the place safe when there are people in and out and all, the normal activity. But at the moment, there's nobody there. What happens? The building gets set on fire and nobody seems to know what on earth happened. And to me, this is just a metaphor for exactly where the ANC finds itself. It finds itself absolutely incapable, unwilling to govern any longer. This is a tired organization that has no idea. They haven't brought new blood into this particular team and they are just withering away. So let's look ahead to exactly what's going to happen to them in the year ahead. 2022 is going to be all about one thing, and that is the ANC's elective conference, which is going to be held at the end of the year. And the burning question is, will Cyril Ramaphosa still be in charge after that conference? Because there is no doubt that if somebody beats Cyril Ramaphosa for the presidency of the ANC, he will be, what do they call it, recalled by the party at the beginning of this time next year, and we will be sitting with yet another president. I don't think that Cyril Ramaphosa is in much danger of losing, not because he's so good, but because there's absolutely nobody who can actually challenge him at this stage. And I really do believe that he's going to win despite his unbelievably lackluster performance as president of the country. The big question is, how strong is the forces of darkness, the RET faction, the lot that supported Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma in the last election, the lot that's probably headed by nobody in particular, but I suppose the poster child for the RET faction is Ace Magashule. Who knows where David Mabuza sits. This is actually the problem with this RET faction, is they seem to be, the only thing that binds them is that they don't like Cyril Ramaphosa. Maybe they still like Jacob Zuma, but he ain't coming back. So it's hard to see how they could mount a serious challenge. They can certainly do some damage, as we saw in July, but it's very, very unlikely, if you ask me, that they're going to win an elective conference. I think what is becoming clear is that if the ANC has to field any other candidate but Cyril at the next general elections, they're going to lose. And it's my feeling that they're going to lose anyway. But let's just look at other politics that we can look forward to in 2022. The burning question is, what's going to happen with all of these coalitions that were organized after the local government elections at the end of last year? These are a whole bunch of big metros that have suddenly fallen in the hands of largely the DA in coalition with a couple of parties. And the big question is going to be, will it last and will it work? Will it make our lives better for the people that live in those metros? And I remain confident that it is going to work. I think it's going to work because nobody can really afford for it not to work, right? The only people that don't want it to work is the ANC. But for everybody else, they have really invested in these partnerships holding. And I'd like to draw your attention to something that happened in mid-December, when just as we were all getting ready to plan our holidays or to go and put our feet up as we looked forward to the festive season, and there was an announcement of a formal declaration, formal coalition agreement that took place between the Democratic Alliance, Inkatha, Freedom Front Plus, Action SA, COPE, that these parties have now formed a proper coalition. So in essence, a vote for one is a vote for all. And that is going to have deep implications for the future, especially for the general election in 2024. That means if a voter pitches up and they think that the DA is a party for whites, well, there's nothing that's going to stop them from voting for COPE or Inkatha or Action SA. It's going to appeal to a broad slice of South Africans that are tired of hearing 1960s style slogans of land expropriation, affirmative action, all of these programs that have got us into trouble in the first place. So I remain quite positive that that coalition is going to hold and is going to create a real problem for the ANC in the next general election. The EFF remain a party to me on the fringes. I don't see them growing significantly. They'll continue to try and make trouble. They already try to make trouble out of the parliamentary fire. But that's all they can do. I don't see their support growing. If it couldn't grow in the last election, I don't see what incident is suddenly going to make their support grow. But let's look at our economy, because we understand that the last 2 years have been diabolical for the South African economy, and this follows 2 or 3 years that preceded coronavirus, where our economy was doing bad already, and we were already in junk status before this happened. Well, there I think that the two incidents are linked. The economy and coronavirus are inextricably linked, and I do think that this is going to potentially create a little bit of a windfall for us as citizens of this country. And that is that, as I read it, this latest strain of COVID-19, this Omicron variant, seems to me to signal, and perhaps I'm just being optimistic here, but the end of the pandemic. If you look at any other pandemic in history, eventually a variant comes out, a strain comes out, that although it may be contagious, is not as fatal, and pretty soon it just becomes another type of flu, but we can get on with our lives. The burning question is, do the people that matter want us to get on with our lives? And I know this sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but I'm very, very, very wary of the vested interests that have built up because of coronavirus. I'm wary of governments that have gotten so used to unfettered power over our lives, over our movements. They're not going to be in a hurry to give that up. I'm even more afraid of big business that has really benefited from coronavirus. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous, but just think about this. If we are all staying at home, we're watching the same television channels, we are ordering online from big companies that are owned by mega corporations, we stopped going down to the corner store, we stopped going down to the local entertainment hub, whatever that is, pub or restaurant. We've ordered from the big chains, and it really worries me that big business is going to keep on pushing the whole health scare to try and keep us indoors, because that way they retain a monopoly on the economy. And if you look at the results of big companies, they have really done well out of coronavirus. So they are doing really well. They don't want things to change. They're very happy for everybody to stay. But if you are, like me, a small business owner, perhaps if people get out and about, it just gives us an opportunity to build new businesses or resuscitate our old businesses and to run the economy a little better, and for us to make a little bit more money, because it's been a long time since we were able to trade freely. So all in all, I think that 2022 I'm far more hopeful than I was a year ago. I actually think it's going to be quite a good year, largely because we're off such a low base. But I hope that I am correct, especially around the coronavirus. It'll be good for all of us. I hope that you are well positioned for an economy that does better. And we are going to be seeing you regularly throughout the year and keep you updated with what's going on. But in the meantime, best wishes to you and your family for 2022, and we'll see you again soon.